Hi, this is Steve with Worm Kings, and I just want to show all the worm heads out there a reboot with the worm Inn Mega. This is my worm inn that I recently harvested, and I did some fine screening with the castings. I had about 6 gallons of fine red worm castings that are 1/8 inch screening or less, and that's what I am using. Anything larger than that is going right back into the worm Inn Mega. Essentially, what I'm going to show you first is what we have at the bottom of the Mega. What I did, I went through a wash with the this particular Mega. I've done about 6 cycles with this, so I'm getting quite a bit of use. You know, I do have a little bit of staining after I did my little wash, and you can see things are a little stained on the bottom. But the whole reason I do a wash to begin with is to make it so it's highly breathable. And the more aerobic a system is, the more beneficial microbes are produced. And the better composting action you get, either with composting or with the worm composting. Here on the bottom, you can see the worm Inn Mega is pretty much open right now. What I do when I restart or reboot the Mega is I'll tighten up my toggles with the marine rope here, and I'll tighten them up so they're about as tight as they can get. So I'll have a very small opening on the bottom. I wouldn't suggest taking any additional ropes to tie things off. If you're getting things, say, as tight as you can be to start out, lock that in place with the toggles. So essentially you have a very small hole on the bottom to start out. That's the way to start out. So we'll go ahead and show you what things look like from the top. I'll show you how I go through the reboot procedure, and come on right up, you can get a closer look. Essentially, what you can see here is the Mega Inn system. And of course, this is pretty much natural after you've used the Mega as much as I have. I'm really getting my money's worth out of this worm Inn Mega. So first, what I'm going to do is put in my layers of newspaper. I pre-wetted some newspaper, and I'm going to lay that across for us right now. The newspaper will act like and the reason I pre-wet, I almost forgot to do something important, and that's slip a little bin underneath for any liquid I might have go through. I just did that just now, so we should be safe. But that's my first layer, and I'll go about 10 to 12 layers of newspaper. And when it's wet like it is that you see here, it acts like paper-mache. So it pretty much forms right into place for me. You can kind of see how I'm setting things up. Now, the one thing about wet newspaper, though, it tears easily, more so than when it was dry. So you got to be handle it a little bit gingerly. But you can see how I'm just crisscrossing it, laying things across here. So these are doubled up. So this is about 6 layers that I have right now. And I'm just angling them from side to side. So it's a little bit even. And I use rainwater all the time. The reason I'm using rainwater is it has a higher oxygen content. And you'll find that the worms just perform better when you use rainwater. You don't have the chemicals like the chlorine, the fluoride, things that are getting in our water supplies nowadays. We have all types of antibiotics, all the pharmaceuticals people are taking finds its way into our water supply. So that's why I advocate using the rainwater. The higher oxygen content helps the worms perform better. You'll get more production. I think it's really worth the effort to go ahead and use rainwater. Okay, as you can see, I'm getting a pretty nice seal on the bottom with my newspaper. And the bottom's getting pretty well covered right now. We'll get one more in there. Might be a little bit overkill, but... And you can see how I just kind of form fit it. Now that I've done that, I go ahead and put in 2.5 gallons of dry shredded cardboard. And the reason I do that, it soaks up that extra moisture from the food waste. And I prefer mostly the shredded corrugated cardboard. You can see I do have some paper in there too. And use about 2.5 gallons. That's something I know Brian the Worm Man recommends too. But I like about that amount. Now that I've done that, the heavier tailings that I had from my last harvest, you can see how that looks there. It's the heavier, larger material. That's going to go right back into my Worm Inn Mega. Now I'm going to go ahead and spread that around. Now what this material does, it helps inoculate the Mega. So you've got all those good microbes in there. It basically kickstarts the Mega, so it gets up and running for you right away. The worms don't have to go through a big stressful period, and they'll get going on the worm composting much faster this way. I know this is something that you know, our red worm composting gentleman advocates quite a bit. And I think it is, when you do use a living material like we are here, it makes your Mega much more productive. Now that I've added this material, I'm going to go ahead and add my worms. I went ahead and, the way I did this, I have another Mega, and I had fed approximately 10 days ago on one side. I went and harvested the material here. You can see it's broken down quite a bit. It's approximately 2 pounds of worms that I'm adding right now. We'll go ahead and spread things around a bit. You can see the worms that are in there. We'll spread them throughout the system. Get the worm sticking to me off of there. Now after I've added the worms, I actually have approximately 10 pounds of food waste. I use a juice pulp food waste, and I add some coffee grounds, some eggshell dust, and I think it's really some good material. I'm going to layer that right over the top, and it's about, like I said, about 10 pounds of material. I'm no more than, say, an inch thick all the way across. Things will heat up a little bit, but it won't be enough, I don't believe, to deter my production. Now that I've done that, I'm going to add actually another layer of the worm castings right over the top of that. I should say the larger tailings again. Spread that around. And you can see I have a pretty good amount of material there. Now on top of that, I'm going to add my gallon of water. Really soak things up good. And again, this is the rainwater. That dry shredded cardboard will be soaking up all this extra water. And it is about a gallon of water that I just used just now. Now, what I'm going to do is add an additional 2.5 gallons of the shredded cardboard over the top of that. And there you have it. That's our reboot with our Worm Inn Mega. It didn't take that long. And I can tell you this, this Mega will get producing in a very short order, and you'll have some great vermicast that's produced in a short order of time. If you like what you see, please subscribe.